Is New York City going to end up looking like a ghost town? Are carbonated water companies running out of gas? Will redesigning Instagram so you can't see likes change the whole game? We'll dive into these topics and more on the business podcast at the intersection of marketing, technology, media, and popular culture. We call it Disruptive FM. Roll the title.
It's Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Welcome to Disruptive FM, where business and culture collide. Sponsored by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. With your host, Jeffrey Colon.
Okay, here we go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Disruptive FM, episode 53. I'm Jeffrey Colon, head of brand studio at Microsoft Advertising, about to dissect 3 trending topics and discuss the post-likes world of Facebook and Instagram with Steve Bartlett of The Social Chain. It's another insightful episode, unlike politicians. So let's get to it. Here are 3 more trends coming at you.
Here are this week's trending topics. FU NYC.
New York City has been losing population for the past couple of years. High costs of living, crappy weather, and really bad teams like the New York Knicks have been some of the reasons citizens of the best city in the world have left the 5 boroughs. Scores of people are leaving the New York City area every day. In fact, New York leads all U.S. metro areas as the largest net loser, with 277 people moving every day, more than double the exodus of 132 people a year ago. Los Angeles and Chicago were next, with triple-digit losses in the daily range of 201 and 161 residents, respectively. This is according to 2018 census data on migration flows to the 100 largest U.S. metropolitan areas as compiled by Bloomberg News. At the other end of the spectrum, 7 cities had an average more than 100 new arrivals every day. Those cities: Dallas, Phoenix, Tampa, Florida, Orlando, Florida, Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Austin. They all saw substantial inflows from both domestic and international migration. Sunbelt cities like Houston and Miami claimed the 8th and 9th spots in the ranking. Seattle was the only cold weather destination among the top 10. So what does this all mean if New York City keeps losing population? Well, like San Francisco and Silicon Valley, while New York City will remain one of the most populated cities on the planet, it could equal an intellectual brownfield. What this means is the smart people pack up and move elsewhere to start the next companies that influence the earth. And if we go back to a period of stagflation, one of high inflation and low employment, we may get a cultural revolution in the form of a new Tony Manero-like character and Saturday Night Fever Part 2. But that's if anyone with cultural capital can literally stay alive in the Big Apple. With its high costs of living, that next revolution may never happen in the 5 boroughs. Unfortunately, we at DFM think the next night fever to catch and burn down the house will happen somewhere else. Los Angeles, Seattle, maybe even Austin, Texas. Sorry, Gotham.
Trending topics on DFM. Out of gas.
LaCroix, a huge brand story for a brand that does little to no advertising. But now that may be coming back to pop their bubbles. It's been a thrilling ride for the carbonated water brand that for over 2 decades languished in obscurity on the bottom shelf of the water aisle in the shadows of Perrier's and S. Pellegrino's green glass bottles. Around 2013, the brand began rising from the dust that had been collecting on its 12-packs as consumers collectively shunned sugary sodas. Over the next 5 years, LaCroix sales jumped almost 8-fold, accelerated by a social media machine that excited young people with its Instagrammable rainbow of cans and zero additive innocence. They were really the first large brand to go after millennials and target their health and wellness concerns. But has the bubble for LaCroix popped? LaCroix is still the king of the sparkling water aisle, but the competition is crowding in. Last year, Pepsi released Bubbly, a sparkling water backed by a marketing arsenal that LaCroix has struggled to match. In 2017, Coca-Cola paid $220 million for Topo Chico, a Mexican mineral water with a cult following. Meanwhile, a legion of startups has rolled out craft sparkling water brands that promote artisanal ingredients, antioxidant boosts, and cannabis infusions. LaCroix sales for the 4 weeks ending July 14th fell more than 15% from the prior year period, even as its main competitor, Bubbly, saw sales surge 96%. The brand may need more brand advertising, more than it realizes, to stay alive before all the gas is let out of the balloon.
Trending topics on DFM. What I like about you.
Instagram without likes. But isn't that why people are drawn to it? Instagram allows users to quickly, easily, and widely share snapshots from their own lives. And by so doing, the platform evokes feelings of both intimacy and inadequacy. The platform is aware of the central role that feelings play in all of this. Users show each other approval through a heart-shaped icon. But that could soon change. Instagram and other social media platforms are reconsidering the fundamental nature of likes. Instagram is testing out its new approach in Canada. Users there can see their likes, but the likes are not public. If this rollout comes to pass globally, well, it could mean a lot of change. It could help and also hurt people across the digital ecosystem. Instagram's private like counts will transform the experience of users who are scrolling through their feeds. Their focus will be shifted from vanity metrics to the content itself. Ideally, this will create a less pressurized environment and place an emphasis on the value of the conversation and the content created. Users will respond to the thing they're seeing, the picture, the writing, the expression, and not to the herd mentality. Well, our question is, will influencers dislike the erasure of likes? Steve Bartlett, CEO and founder of The Social Chain, is a leading expert in all areas of Instagram and was the first person we wanted to speak to about this. He's been the subject matter expert on all things social the past decade plus. We were excited to have Steve join us via Skype. Let's take a listen.
The news that Instagram were considering removing likes broke about 6 months ago. And then 2 months after that, they removed everybody's likes in Canada on Instagram. You can still see video views and you can still see your own likes and engagements. But in Canada, you couldn't see anybody else's. About a month and a half ago, they announced that they were expanding that rollout across 7 other markets like Australia, Japan, etc., And really, I guess what we can garner from that is that initial test in Canada was successful by whatever metrics they're using to measure. And there's a couple of things that I think are really significant. Much of the reason why they say they're doing this is to improve mental health issues on the platform, to make Instagram a place more focused on what you post, not how sort of famous you are or how much people approve of what you share. And when I break down the impacts that this small change will have, there's a couple of possibilities and there's a couple of things that we know for sure. I think one of the things that we know for sure, and this is maybe slightly controversial, is that the impact on mental health, I personally believe, won't be as prominent or significant as they initially expected, because I can still see my own engagement. And a lot of the time when it relates to feeling inadequate or like people don't appreciate you or that you're not pretty enough or whatever, a lot of that's based on the variations that the algorithm causes. So we have influencers that will email us and message us saying, for some reason, my Instagram posts have just started to get X amount of likes and it's making me feel like SHIT. And we know that's an algorithmic change. It's the self-comparison as much as it is the external comparison that causes mental health problems. The next thing, which I think is interesting, is will people engage more in the platform? My prediction is that there'll be a lot more content posted, because one of the big barriers to posting at the moment is, especially for influencers and creators who are hyper focused on looking good, because that will result in revenue, is that there will be more posts. I think I would post more if my sort of performance wasn't publicly known in terms of the engagement metrics. It's a change. Do I think it will help the platform? Probably.
So will users like the fact there are no likes anymore on Instagram? Steve Bartlett, CEO and founder of The Social Chain.
It's Disruptive FM.
Communications.
The Business Culture Podcast.
They say if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of today.
Hey, it's Disruptive FM, the culture of business. I'm Jeffrey Colon. Hope you're having a great week. We would love to connect with you. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Disruptive FM. And you can connect with me personally on Twitter and Instagram at DJ GEOFFE. Big shout out to our sponsor partners, Microsoft Advertising, Intelligent Connections. Create smarter customer journeys in the era of customer-centric marketing. Learn more at microsoftadvertising.ai. And Branding Strategy Insider. Branding Strategy Insider serves 50,000 plus senior level marketers, CMOs, and business decision makers daily, and is distributed by partners such as The Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, Google News, and Forbes. Branding Strategy Insider is the leading resource for thought leadership in brand strategy and brand management. Learn more at brandingstrategyinsider.com. And Iographer. Iographer creates accessories for your mobile device to help you make better videos. Their specialty is the Iographer case, which I've been using myself for a long time. Their cases allow you to attach filmmaking accessories like microphones, tripods, and lenses, and help you to stabilize your video and look like a pro. And they won't bust your budget either. Learn more at iographer.com. In the background, music from Kerri, Chandler and Jerome Sydenham with a track called You're in My System. That's the Dennis Quinn atmospheric dub mix. It's out now on Ibadan Records.
Disruptive FM presents...
Stop! It's the motherfucking remix!
Everything is a remix.
There's this huge movement now at brands to in-house. What does that mean? It means bringing all of your creative inside the company with a team of creative directors, media buyers, and project managers. Yet while many think this is new, they haven't done their due diligence to see that this was how things worked, well, about 100 years ago. Yes, back before the rise of the corporate business model, where many jobs were outsourced for cost reasons, almost everything existed in-house. Ronald Coase spoke about this in his Nobel Economics Prize-winning research paper, The Nature of the Firm. The traditional economic theory of the time suggested that because the market is efficient, that is, those who are best at providing each good or service most cheaply are already doing so, it should always be cheaper to contract out than to hire. Coase noted, however, that there were a number of transaction costs to using the market. The cost of obtaining a good or service via the market is actually more than just the price of the good. Other costs, including search and information costs, bargaining costs, keeping trade secrets, and policing and enforcement costs, can all potentially add to the cost of procuring something via the market. This suggests that firms will arise when they can arrange to produce what they need internally and somehow avoid these costs. So the whole in-housing movement is really a return to the old, with a couple of twists to note. Agencies are slow, stuck on creating advertising, while companies want continuity, ownership of customer data, and no longer outsource customer data. In other words, just like Coase noted, the costs of doing this in-house are cheaper now than procurement. And controlling data means controlling trade secrets. And thus, they will do this internally with the new systems available to them instead of outsourcing. What's in is no longer being out. It's being in until companies need to outsource again. Got that? Good. Because everything is a remix. Okay, here are a few stories that are starting to create some buzz. We think you might want to pay closer attention. It's a segment we call On the Radar.
Here's what's on our radar. Number 1.
The boomer generation is turning 70 at a rate of 10,000 per day and living years longer than when the safety net was originally built. Women are bearing the brunt of this, taking costly career breaks to care for family members. One study by the Center for American Progress calculated that American families lost $28 billion a year in wages due to these employment gaps. Some 15% of women between 25 and 54 are caring for an older relative currently.
Number 2.
Over 120 million workers throughout the world will need to be retrained in the next 3 years because of the changes that artificial intelligence will bring to the workplace. Upskilling these workers will be a big challenge as workers today require more training than ever to learn new skills. 36 days versus 3 days in 2014. And often skills most valued by employers, soft skills like communication and ethics, require years of experience to develop.
Number 3.
Apple held a launch on September 10th where they announced the anticipated iPhone 11 in 3 iterations. The standard 11 replacing the XR and 2 11 Pro models replacing the XS and XS Max. Boy, that's a mouthful. They'll have upgrades to low light photography, shatter resistant glass, faster processes, and a new way to charge AirPods. A review of the new phones on the next DFM. All right, that's another wrap for us here at DFM, episode 53. Next week, Peter Schwartz, founder and CEO of Cognitive, on the future wave of what social media will look like. There are a lot of podcasts out there, and we truly appreciate you taking the time to check us out. Please help us grow by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the show. We're on all the major podcast services: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Spreaker, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, and Pandora. Once again, the socials: Twitter and Instagram at Disruptive FM. And check out cool content from our sponsors at MicrosoftAdvertising.ai, BrandingStrategyInsider.com, and iographer.com. Until next time, from everyone here at DFM, I'm Jeffrey Colon. Catch you next week.
You've been listening to Disruptive FM with Microsoft Communications designer Jeffrey Colon. All thoughts are his own. Disruptive FM is produced in Los Angeles by Feeler Media.